I went to a grade school in New Orleans, a private grade school called St. Paul's Episcopal. And when I was little, I drove my parents completely insane, actually. I had osteogenesis imperfecta, which some of you may know is more commonly known as brittle bone disease. It's basically a fancy word that means that my collagen doesn't form correctly in my body, so my bones don't grow correctly either. They don't grow to the length they're supposed to, and they're very soft and they break very, very easily. I've probably broken hundreds of bones in my lifetime. And yes, it does hurt. I get that question all the time. It does hurt. Just get that out of the way now. So there is nothing wrong with me mentally. And that is well, I mean, most people say that, let's put it that way. That is a major misconception that a lot of people have with people in wheelchairs. That, oh, they're in a wheelchair, they must be mentally disabled. Not true. So when I was little, I had the brain to do everything and the body to do very little. And that was a very bad combination for my mother, who was stuck at home with me all the time because I wanted something constantly. She decided when I was 2 that it was time for me to get my first wheelchair, which is very young for somebody in an electric wheelchair. My doctor was not super pleased about the whole thing, and he eventually gave in when the people came and checked me out or whatever and said she's plenty smart enough to learn how to use an electric wheelchair. I think that as in grade school, it would have been harder because I don't know how it is in Texas. You know, I've never been in that school system, but I know that in Louisiana, a lot of the aides provided by the state are not educated to the point that you would like them to be. And as a 9 or 10-year-old, I don't know that I would know how to tell them what to do, especially for somebody with a disability that can't tell them what to do. You know, that is a little bit scary. I had some very interesting aides in college. They were provided by the state, and thank God I didn't talk because it would not have gone well. It was very, very interesting, and it's hard because they change all the time. You know, because nobody really sticks. So yeah, I mean, I think that would have been the biggest difference. And I mean, the family orientation in the private school was a big help too.
There were a few other reasons why when she was young she did not go to a public school. Ben Franklin was a public school, and by the time we sent her to Ben Franklin, she was well versed in how to deal with children her age, how to deal with cliques, how to deal with teachers who wouldn't necessarily want to have to change things in their classroom. So she could handle all that by herself. But as a very young student, when we looked into the public school system, because we had an excellent public school 2 blocks from the house, one of the best public schools in the city, we didn't send her there because the classroom that they wanted to put her in was actually putting her in with children who were so far below her in mental acuity that she would not have learned anything. We would have actually been homeschooling her, and she would have been confined with children who were physically much more able than she was, but mentally much less able. So they didn't want to put her in a regular classroom. And that's the biggest problem we had. Instead, we ended up hiring an aide to go to a private school with her, and that worked out much better, even though it was very costly, and the aide wasn't always available, and I had to drop what I was doing at work and rush over to school to take the place if the aide got sick or didn't show up or whatever. It still worked out better because Katherine was able to stay in a regular classroom and stay with kids that had the same mental abilities that she had, even though her physical abilities were a little less, and they had to make special compensations for her not being able to write as fast, and that kind of thing.
What advice would you give to aides or teachers to help you better and or, you know, other kids?
I think the biggest thing for aides is that they are there. What? Okay, this is just coming from a social perspective because that's the main issue I had with aides. They're there for physical needs only, really. It's okay to be their friend, and that's fine. But when you're, you know, when you're 10, 12, 13, trying to fit in with your class, and you already have issues fitting in, for them to be hovering over you and talking with your teachers all the time and being buddy-buddy with them and answering questions for the class. I've had aides do that. It is incredibly embarrassing.